Practicing the future and constructing sentences with English students is a breeze when you use this game. It's fun, creative, and will have your students wanting to play again and again. I'm Will from Enchanted ESL, and this video is about one of my favourite games which I call Fortune Teller. I'll explain what it is, how to play, and how to get the best out of it in your classes. I call it Fortune Teller, but really it's just predicting the future. It uses randomization to come up with some hilarious predictions of what will happen. It's targeted at the will future, so students should understand that before playing. And it involves piecing together words to create a coherent sentence. As a result, it's best with intermediate students, although you could use it with confident beginners. With advanced learners, you could use it to provoke a discussion, but the grammar side of it is going to be too simple for them. All you need to play is a few sheets of paper, a pen, and some scissors. But don't worry, if you're teaching online, there's a version for that as well. There is a bit of setup time which you can do before the class or during it with your students. Once you've got it going, each round takes about 1 minute. And you'll want each student to have at least one round. If you're playing with a small group, they might do multiple rounds. The game only involves one student being active at a time, so if you have a very large class, it might be worth splitting them up into smaller groups and playing separate games. Alright, let's see how it works. First, cut out a bunch of small strips of paper big enough to write a couple of words on. Divide them into 4 piles. You want at least 10 in each pile, ideally around 20. Each pile is for part of the sentence. The first pile will be a time in the future, so you could write next year or in 10 minutes. When you've written the words, fold the strip in half twice. The principle is the same for the other piles, but you change the content. The second pile is the subject of the sentence, so usually a person, a character, or an animal. The third is an action verb, dance, work, think, etc. And the last is the object, which is usually an object of some kind. Now you have 4 piles. Keep them separate. You can divide them on the table or put them in boxes like these ones. If you're teaching online, the paper strips isn't going to work, but there's an easy alternative. Find a spin the wheel randomizer online. They're easy to find, and I've put a link to this one in the description. You'll need 4 random wheels, so that will mean opening 4 tabs. For each, add words to them just like the 4 piles of paper. Then you can share your screen with students and spin the wheel to randomize what they get. Choose someone to go first. They take a folded strip of paper from each pile and open them. We have in 10 minutes, King Charles III, dance, and a tomato. Now the student has to create a sentence with the will future. They can add in any extra words to help the meaning. So the full sentence of this one could be, in 10 minutes, King Charles III will be dancing with a tomato. And that's it. Look forward to some very silly predictions. If you're finding this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. Your support helps the channel grow and allows me to share more of these amazing games. There are 2 main ways you can approach the setup to this game. The first is to prepare it all beforehand. The benefits of this are you save class time and you get to control what's on the strips of paper. This second thing is really useful. If you're studying a particular topic, you can include lots of language related to that. However, I usually use a different approach, and that's to do the preparation in class with my students writing the ideas on the strips of paper. Or if it's online, then they give me the ideas to put in the wheel. This process gets them actively recalling vocabulary and thinking of creative ideas. They're also more engaged in the game because whatever they put will come up in crazy combinations during their predictions. Plus, you can encourage them to use language that you've been studying recently. The downside of this approach is it takes time in the class, at least 10 minutes, if not 15, maybe even 20 with slow students. Plus, you can end up with repeated words. Now, a fun way of framing this activity is to come up with a character like a witch or a seer who makes these wild predictions. And they have a book where they write down all of their predictions. When you play the game and a student comes up with a sentence, you write that prediction in the book. You can either do this as one shared book that each student writes their own prediction in, or you turn it into more of a writing activity and all students write down all of the sentences. And if you play the game multiple times, you can have this big tome of all sorts of silly predictions. However, if you do want more of a focus on writing, you could try the game Folding Stories. This is my go-to activity when I want students to practice a little bit of writing, and you can find out how to play it in this video right here. But for now, I've been Will from Enchanted ESL, wishing you all the joy and success in your teaching. See ya!